Hello, Ben Ferdy Ford.
Hello, Mike. How are you?
Not too bad, my friend. How have you been keeping during these odd times?
Pretty good. I'm actually getting time to work on my own music.
It is a bit strange, isn't it? How it's kind of like obviously it's pretty horrible what's going on, but for us creatives, I feel like while there might have been some initial kind of worry about how much money are we going to lose here, it is a little bit of time to kind of actually like I've been doing a hell of a lot. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
weird, isn't it?
I've been saying for a long, long time I need to make some time for my music. And although I didn't make the time, it's made it for me, which has been very, very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I hear you. It is a strange time. So, can you? I suppose this is Ben Ford. Is a guitarist of a SkyQuaker among kind of many other projects. I suppose it makes sense really with these with these interviews. When do you think the first time we met was?
Wow. It must have been about a year ago. I can't remember the exact point, to be honest.
I feel like
Well,
it. Yeah, I kind of feel. Yeah, I can't. To be honest, that's a really
I
weird.
kind of just fell into knowing you. It
Yeah,
was
it was.
more like that rather than there was like an initial meeting.
I feel like we kind of. I feel like I kind of because Steve kind of spoke about you so much, and I've mixed so much of your stuff, like
Well, the
within other
same.
tracks,
I've
and
heard so much about you. I felt like I already knew you.
yeah,
So.
I think it was like. I mean, I think we um. Yeah, that is bizarre, isn't it? That is like I know the was it the Curry House?
Oh, it could have been. Yeah, I just happened to be lumbering past with a guitar. Yeah.
Yeah, and we sort of Ben, get in the curry house. Yeah, I think it was then, but I think we'd spoken like a lot before that. And
Yeah.
obviously, with me mixing your tracks and kind of like send them back to you and Ben, what do you think of this? What do you think
That's
of
it. Yeah, I
that?
probably knew you better than most other people by
That's
that
right.
point.
And then
I even knew you.
it's Steve talking constantly, isn't it? Bless him. And then of course at Steve's, I think we had a chat, didn't we, after Vladimir Bukovsky's funeral back at
Oh
Steve's
yeah.
place. It may well have been then as well. But I suppose yeah. Just do you want to just give us like a brief kind of introduction to yourself? Like I say, this is your video, really, Ben. So it's all things Ben Ferdy Ford.
Okay. Hello. I am Ben Ford, musician. I play guitar for SkyQuaker. My own music. I'm also a music educator.
So you do.
Um,
Yeah, I was going to say because the education, I've often thought like maybe I should sort of like get Ben to try and teach me some of these time signatures because I know you specialise in somewhat progressive, somewhat interesting signatures.
yeah,
Let's
I wouldn't say I specialise. It kind of came about from me being a bit shit at playing in 4/4 timing.
Okay.
And I would try and play a riff that should be in four, and I'd play it with a drummer, and they go, no, it doesn't work. What's going on?
But
And it turned out it'd be in fives or 6.5 or something just stupid. I never once sat down to play in those odd times. It just kind of came very naturally to me. Playing anything unusual, as long as I wrote it, feels really easy. And other people are tearing their hair out trying to play along with it. But I'm the same with their music. And they can play me something quite simple, and I'm just like scratching my head. How does it go?
how does that work? If have you got your
Yeah,
guitar plugged in,
it's plugged in, yeah.
look at that. I love it. Have you got anything, Ben? Anything you've been working on? You want to just quickly play, really
Well, just
quick?
very quickly. I mean, these are some chords I was playing earlier, and it just happened to be there in 13/16,
Okay.
which is a horrendous time for anybody. But for me, I had to figure out that it was 13/16 after I wrote it.
It's one of those
But
things.
it felt natural.
Yeah. So you can kind of count the divisions. You can do it, but it is
Well,
a. I must
I
admit,
just figured.
I mean, obviously, for people listening, it's like we discussed yesterday with having no beat behind it. You have got to get into that kind of like 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3. You know that
That's
kind
it.
of yeah, it's sort of. I mean, I suppose with the film stuff, I've done quite a bit in 7/8 because the
Okay.
action stuff tends to be all your James Bondy type stuff tends to. Well, I think James Bond is 12/8.
Ah,
But yeah,
check that.
it's things like that. They tend to kind of subdivide like that. But yeah, I must
The
admit, when
subdivision of this one, it's 5/5/3.
okay,
even the subdivisions of 5 are horrendous, but I don't sit and count them. It just seemed to be. It just felt.
It just
really like
works.
It just felt like a natural rhythm to me, but it's not.
It's quite incredible though, because
everyone's like, "Oh my god, how does this go?"
I mean, because I was talking to both Steve, and I spoke to Devinder Bedi over at Radiation radio station yesterday. And we were talking about kind of musicians and what's so beautiful about them. And I think you've highlighted that so well in that, you know, like I was saying, one thing that always kind of gets me about players, because while I can compose music, I'm not the best player. So I think seeing a musician kind of be able to just do what you've done in terms of like, well, you know, I was just sort of like working on this thing today, you know, it's in like 16/8 or whatever. It's like, it's quite incredible. It's quite incredible.
I do both. You know, when I play, odd time seems to be very normal. If I write, I typically use Sibelius software to write music if I'm just, you know, got an initial idea that I want to work on. And usually if I write, sit down and actually try to compose something, then it will be in 4s.
Got you, okay.
Because playing and trying to write it in an odd time it just doesn't feel natural.
I see. So it's more.
But when I play, it feels natural to play in these odd times. I don't know why. Just one of those weird people that just struggles with simplicity.
I suppose it makes sense if you're jamming and you're literally, because that's what music is, right? It's playing. So your natural Ben's chill mode is let's just play in odd time. You know, that's what naturally comes to you when you're playing. So we kind of touched a little on the. Have you got some guitars behind you, by the way? I swear I just saw something that's like.
Yeah, there's a collection there.
What sort of gear have you got, Ben?
Well, my 3 main guitars. My favourite one at the moment would have to be my trusty Ibanez RG.
Sexy.
I love this guitar, just mainly for the whammy bar, which I'll put in if I can figure it out. I just love they're just super responsive, these things.
Wow.
Just crazy sounds with the most. Just touch it and it works. Really, really responsive. Best trem ever made on any guitar, if you ask me.
It looks super sexy. It really does.
Other guitars, though.
Oh yes.
My Les Paul, my 59 reissue, just sounds amazing and brilliant because it doesn't have a trem. So tuning stability, brilliant for anything that requires any kind of string bending or anything, because it's just not going to lose the tuning like the Ibanez will.
Got you.
One of my favourites for certain.
Was that the guitar you used on Queen Kong in the studio?
No, actually, the guitar I used on Queen Kong was my SG, Gibson SG, the black one, which I think you've seen.
I have seen, yeah. That was.
That's actually in a case somewhere.
Somewhere hiding.
So I can't find that out right now, but that's also just a. To me, the SG is the ultimate rock and roll guitar. You know, Angus Young, Tony Iommi. You know, just they do kind of one sound, and it's the sound of rock. You know, they're just brilliant for that.
And it comes from the SG.
That's it. Plug it in, off you go. No dicking around with an SG. They just sound great straight out the box.
Do you find any sort of guitar? Because I know a lot of players have kind of like guitars they prefer playing for kind of particular applications. Do you tend to find that some guitars kind of stay better in tune, maybe, or a little more kind of intonation is?
Yeah. If I want something that's perfect tuning, then it's the Gibson. If I want like a nice shreddy guitar, I want to get some really crazy effects, the Ibanez. My other main guitar, which I'll just grab quickly.
Go for it. It's lovely to interview. This is what I mean. This guy. This was Steve.
I could go on all day. I could go on for a very.
I just love it, mate. I just love it.
I'm trying to tone it down, if anything. So.
I just love it.
Is my trusty PRS, which
look at that.
goes with the shirt, which is nice.
Look at that. That is incredible, mate. I love it.
This was actually what we used on for the solos of Queen Kong.
Okay.
Just because I wanted a trem kind of guitar for that solo. And but yeah, I just love this. I love the colour.
It is so cool. It is like just the way that it's almost got the blue around it as well. It's just incredible.
That's it. Lovely guitar to play. Feels nice. A lot of tones. This particular one actually had Paul Reed Smith sign it to me himself, which was very nice of him. I've actually got pictures of him playing this somewhere. This very guitar.
That is amazing. That is amazing. And talking of legends, I hear you were speaking to Steve Vai in a forum a couple of days ago.
Yeah, he was very kind enough to answer my question personally. I mean, it was an online class he was doing for however many thousand people, and out of the probably 3 questions he answered, mine was one of them, which was very helpful.
Incredible. That is incredible. I was
Still
pleased to see that.
Didn't get much of what he was saying, but it was very nice of him.
Hey, Steve Vai's talking to me. This is cool. That's excellent. I suppose we should talk a little bit about Thank God for Rock and Roll, which is the next SkyQuaker single, which is due to come out on the 12th.
Yeah.
What did you have a particular kind of? I suppose one of the questions I always like to ask, especially musicians like you, Ben, where you've got kind of a lot of axes, if you like, and you've got a lot of weapons you can add to your arsenal. Did you have a particular setup for Thank God in terms of did you play? Was it very sort of similar in terms of the guitars you used for Queen Kong, or did you have a different approach for that song?
Similar. What I wanted for Thank God is 80s, just pure 80s. So I used I think it was probably the Ibanez for that.
Okay.
And it was a Marshall vintage modern amp.
Okay.
I think for the riffs, and just guitar straight into amp. No effects, just 80s rock is what we was going for. And same with the solos, just a little bit shreddy, bit of bluesy, shreddy kind of solo in there as well. Just get all them 80s cliches in there. That's what I was going for. I don't know whether that's what Steve wanted, but I think the whole mix all together sounds pretty good though.
Oh, it sounds, mate. When I heard it, I mean, because I mastered it a few days back. And I was like walking around the flat singing it, and I was humming it, and it just I think it worked. I think it really did. Georgie Mac did a great job on that mix, and you guys did a great job in executing.
Oh, it sounds amazing!
It sounds amazing, mate. It really does. That's artwork's complete. So we're pushing ahead. That should be going off to the stores today.
Brilliant.
And be available on the 12th.
Yeah, what we first had with that track was, I think Steve kind of wrote some vocals and some basic chuggy chords.
Sure.
I come and put this 80s styled riff over it and some shreddy guitar. But then the next time I heard it, it had all this gospel vocals and saxophones and stuff on it. This kind of funky kind of sax on it as well, which wow, didn't expect that.
No, exactly the same. I mean, it was the same with Queen Kong, because I wasn't expecting the sax on Queen Kong. And I thought it was great.
Yeah, I think there was a ridiculous amount of tracks for that. It sounds like a post-punk kind of song where you'd think, there's 10 tracks on there, but there's not. There was hundreds.
It was an interesting track to mix, yes, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Queen Kong. That was Georgie Mac's last words to me after that drum session were "good luck." It was fun. But no, I mean, I think Thank God as well. Tilly York did a great job on that. George's bass is really nice driving bass on it. Rue, obviously, the vocal, everything about it just kind of works. And I know what you mean. I feel like Rue brought that real sort of gospel feel to it, didn't she? It really had absolute,
just added a completely different dimension to it. Yeah,
absolutely. No, it's an incredible track. So Ben, I mean, outside of SkyQuaker, you play in a few bands, don't you? So you've got your Motorhead tribute band.
Yeah, I played with Motorhead. I did about 6 months for them, which was just the best fun I've ever had in a rock band. It really was as close to the real thing as you're going to get.
Amazing.
Lots of drinking, partying, not sleeping much, loads of travelling, getting to see places you've never been to. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. The guys in that band were just brilliant. Super loud, what you expect from Motorhead.
Was that kind of in the UK, or was that around the world, or was it?
I've only done UK shows with them, but they've been all over Europe. Yeah,
I've heard of them, because last time I saw Motorhead was at the Brighton Dome with Lemmy.
Oh, okay, yeah, that was last winter, I believe.
Well, no, this was going back, man. This is probably back in, I'm going to say almost 2011 was the
Oh,
last time I
okay.
saw Motorhead.
Yeah, that was way before I ever played with them.
We'd be playing, but I wanted to kind of get back out because obviously the band now, they're not playing, so it's kind of it'd be interesting to see a Motorhead gig, mate. It'd be interesting to go and kind of see them.
Yeah, I only do a few gigs with them here and there now. If they're close to me, then I'll typically play that show. So I'm just depping for them at the moment.
Okay, cool. And
I had about 6 months where I
just rocking out.
Yeah,
incredible,
great
mate,
times.
incredible. And Dutchy, tell us about Dutchy.
Oh, Duchess.
Duchess, sorry. Apologise.
That's on hiatus at the moment because we had a really good live setup. We had a really flamboyant singer. Well, we still have got a flamboyant singer. However, our bass player and drummer, they were having problems with visas because they're both from Turkey. I think they got it sorted out in the end, but it was a bit of a worry for them, so they had to focus time on work where they were getting paid for it, rather than an originals band where we have to nearly pay to actually play a gig for ourselves.
Sure. Okay.
So I think I haven't gigged with that band for, I don't know, maybe 6 months, 4 months maybe.
Okay, but it's still in flux, sort of thing.
It's not. Nobody has officially said it's over. Yet no one has said that it's what's happening next either. So at the moment, as it stands, with SkyQuaker and having this lockdown, I really want to work on my own music during this time anyway. That's really my big goal. That and SkyQuaker, my two main projects. So...
No, I think that's because we've definitely had those chats where obviously where you do a lot of teaching, which is incredible. And I think I know you'll give just your energy and your personality and your knowledge. I know you'll give people a hell of a good.
I love teaching. Yeah, it really is one of my passions. I teach about 30, at least 30 a week, which is a lot.
Wow,
it takes a lot of time.
Yes,
it's not just the teaching; it's the having to prepare lessons. You always got to keep in contact with these students, make sure that they're learning it properly. So it's a lot of work.
Absolutely, but it must be like, I kind of I've done a little bit of coaching and a little bit of kind of training in terms of like showing people how to use Pro Tools or showing people how to use Logic, and it's always great for me when it must be the same for you when they suddenly send you a track they've done or something, or they're suddenly kind of, you see them using the software or something like that, and it's like they've got it, and then they're actually you've almost been the key to them discovering themselves. Is quite amazing. Absolutely,
yeah. I've got a few students who are writing their own music, and it's brilliant seeing all the diversity in that.
Absolutely.
There's someone will bring along like a funk kind of thing, someone else is playing a rock thing, someone else does like a folk piece. And it's always just surprising because it's usually completely the opposite of what I would do.
Sure.
And so it's like, oh, that's really cool. So it inspires me as well. It really does.
I can see that, absolutely. So Ben, outside of SkyQuaker, because I know obviously we're on lockdown, I know you guys were kind of looking to start trying to sort of plan some gigs, and obviously that's now not going to come to fruition, unfortunately, because we can't leave the house. With your own kind of personal music, I know me and you have we've had a little bit of a chat, and you're kind of like, well, I've got some ideas, but you haven't, like you say, you haven't really had time to kind of sit down and maybe concept what you're going to go, how you're going to kind of execute it. What was your plan for the albums? Were you thinking of kind of doing some EPs or going straight in for an album?
Yeah. I have a really eclectic music taste. I like anything with a guitar in it, really. Whether it's rock, jazz, blues, funk. I like a lot of classical music as well, like a lot of piano-based, like Chopin, Debussy. And so all my music, it's so diverse, I couldn't really put it under one banner. So the idea was just keep it under a particular band name, but every EP, because they're all going to be quite diverse, be a new style or just a new sound every time.
Sure. So it's just so I suppose it's kind of it's just so strange. I've been talking to a lot of people this week as a way of kind of keeping myself sane, and you kind of hear almost a recurring theme with people want to do with their music. I mean, Steve, who obviously has an incredible background. Every time I speak to the guy, I learn something new about him. But we were kind of talking about him being in the orchestra pits and learning all these different sounds, and then kind of wanting to fuse all this stuff together, and kind of like being in punk bands and like learning
Yeah,
jazz and playing a French horn. And then you're kind of saying the similar thing. It's like you've taken all these kind of influences and you've listened to so much music that you love, and then when it comes to kind of doing your own music, it's like all these things that have sort of formed your musical personality suddenly start coming out.
definitely. I mean, with Steve, he kind of mixes it all, just to jumbles everything together into a song. I'm a little bit more authentic in the terms of, if I play a rock tune, I like to keep it a straight ahead rock tune, and then if I want to play like a gothic piano kind of style piece, then that would be a different song. I don't really like to mix it up too much. I think it can water down some of the authentic ideas you have in a particular style.
I see. I kind of. It's like that. It's like that sort of postmodern argument, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, there's not. It's just it didn't feel right for my music to mix it all together. You know, going from a jazz bit to a rock part to a. You know, I wanted just first EP. What I'm working on mainly is like an instrumental rock thing.
no, I think it. I totally get you, mate. I totally get you. Obviously, we've been talking a lot about fusion the last few days, but
That's it.
I think it's kind of. I think it's very, and really Aurora keeps talking about, oh yeah, we're a multi-genre label and let's mix everything up. But there is those whole kind of like, you've got to respect where the music came from. And I think if I wouldn't want it to ever be that everything's just a fusion and nothing's got any sort of like core heart, if that makes sense. Nothing's got a core
That's
soul.
it, yeah. I mean, my background really is rock guitar. That's I came up, listening to AC/DC, Black Sabbath, Motorhead. Then I got into like the shred guys, the Steve Vais, the Joe Satrianis. So that's the kind of stuff that hopefully going to be the first EP, because it's the most difficult to play. So I just want to get that one out of the way.
Brilliant. So do you think you're using this time to kind of try and sort of mentally work that out? How are you going to do that?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing the most of actually at the moment, even more than SkyQuaker, is my own music.
Amazing.
Now I've got the time to do it, but it's just a long process, because I'm trying to do everything myself from home. Trying to figure out how the drums are going to go to particular songs, and how's the bass line going to sound. So I'm learning all this new software as well to figure out how it's all going to piece together.
I've got you.
But it's getting there. It is getting there.
Oh, that's really good to hear, mate. And did you make me and Ben had a kind of like Logic Pro Tools. Did you make a kind of a decision on where you're going to go door wise?
Well, I've always worked with Logic anyway. I was thinking of Pro Tools as well, because I know you guys work with Pro Tools, and it would just be easier to export sessions to you. So that was going to be additional, but
Logic's your home.
We'll see on that, yeah.
It's absolutely. Me and Dave spoke yesterday, and we said the same. Is whatever works for you's got to be the thing that works. And with that whole kind of argument around like Pro Tools Logic, it could even be that we just work of a way of like, I help you. We'll set up some way you can almost export a session so it keeps all your timings.
Yeah,
absolutely incredible.
So I was always Mac based. Logic was relatively cheap. That's what I went with originally, and just kind of what I've stuck with. But it's just been a bit of a pain if I wanted to collaborate with other people who are on Pro Tools. There's ways around it, obviously, but just make life easier.
Absolutely. And Ben, when did all this start for you, mate? When did your journey in kind of like musical kind of right? I want to play the guitar. When did that thought kind of sort of set in?
Wow. Okay. When I was very, very young, I think I was about 9 when I first discovered guitar. My dad had this old classical guitar. He didn't play at all. He just happened to have one. I think somebody gave to him. And I just wanted to make sounds with it. And I think it only had about 4 strings on it. And so I started learning. I had this chord book that had just been in the loft for however many years. So I learned these chords. They were probably horribly out of tune. There was not all the strings were there. And I played these 3 chords for, I don't know, maybe a couple of weeks. And then I was like, I'm not going anywhere. I can't get past 3 chords. So I just stopped playing. And it must have been about 2 years later, I was about 11, maybe 12, I picked the guitar up again, but I could still remember these chords as if it was yesterday. And so that really spurred me on. I was like, brilliant, well, I haven't lost that, even though it was 2 years ago I started, learning this stuff. And then just started taking lessons. I had a few different teachers to begin with that, I don't know, they just wasn't teaching me in the right way. But then I took lessons with this rock guitar player who played in a instrumental rock band called Euphoria, who were just phenomenal. He played all the instrumental rock guys stuff. He was a big Satriani and Steve Vai fan as well, like myself.
Amazing.
So that was for me. And he taught me the way that I wanted to be taught, rather than I couldn't read dots at the time. So he just said, no, just put your finger there, do this, press that note, hit this chord really hard, make it loud, there you go, turn the distortion on. And that was like, brilliant, yeah, that's how I want to do it.
The rock and roll approach.
Yeah, it wasn't until many, many years later that I went to university and learned to. I've been playing guitar, 10 years before I even started to learn to read music.
Okay.
So I'm still a bit of a beginner, nearly. I'll never be good enough to probably play a full 3-hour show by reading it, I don't think, but
I think that is a special art, isn't it? I mean, I can't sight read at all. I can put scores together in terms of if Ben, can you play this for me? I could send you the paper.
I can figure it out quickly enough. If you gave me 10 minutes on a track, fine, yeah, I could play it. But to sight read it live, no, no way.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know how they say that about the orchestras in London. Apparently we've got the best sight readers in the world, from what I hear.
Yeah.
And that is incredible. That is it.
It's a great art, though. It's brilliant if you can do it. Opens up a lot of doors. I find a lot of guitar players are in the same boat as me. They all read a little bit of music to get by, and it's the same 10 guys getting the reading gigs.
Yeah, amazing. So obviously, I know you were doing your teaching, and you were kind of you were playing in your bands, you're going back and forth. How on earth did you meet Steve?
I'm a local teacher in South London where I live, so I'm always going between people's houses, and he actually lives quite close to me, so he'd probably seen me, hundreds of times walk past his house. One day, this crazy guy just came up to me in his car, just shouted at me across the road. It was like, what's going on? This big white-haired crazy dude. It looked like the Doc from Back to the Future. Yeah. Just asked me if I wanted to join a band, essentially.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So he gave me a lift home and just talked at me for 15 minutes. Telling me a bit what he wanted to do, and I'm like, oh, okay. I just thought he was a bit mental, actually, a bit crazy for a start. So I left it a couple of weeks. And I thought, well, I'll give him a call or see what happens, and that's it.
The rest history
from there, essentially.
Absolutely. I think we've all had because when I first met him, I kind of had I don't know. I think I have an eccentric kind of part to my personality as well. So I think after a couple of minutes, I'd kind of I knew what Steve was sort of all about. But I think we've all had that initial introduction with Mr. Hopewin of is this guy okay?
Yeah, it's good.
So much energy and passion, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So I mean, like I say, so that a lot of the questions that I kind of planned for us, you've kind of got there just naturally through the interview, which is incredible. One of the questions I kind of wanted to say to you is, we've gone over guitars a little bit. It's kind of, I suppose, your approach to your where you like working. I mean, are there any particular studios you like to go to? I see you've got your amp set up at home. Do you play and record at home a lot?
Yeah, quite a bit. I mean, that's where I get all initial ideas. It's all right here. Then I'll just record just snippets of it. I've got thousands of bits of songs that will one day make it into a song somewhere. But I can be working on one of my own songs, and then it will remind me of something else, or I'll get an idea, or it'll come to me, and I'll just have to work it out. And I'll probably write, like 4 or 5 new parts a day.
Amazing.
And that's why my music takes so long, because I'll be working on it and I just get sidetracked with new things that come to me.
That's it. Yeah.
So working at home is great because I get all these new ideas, but it can be a bit overwhelming at times. What I find is being in a studio when you're recording, you're really a lot more focused on just what you're doing, because you're against the clock and you think, right, I've got to get this part done. So you work only on those parts. So that's a cool thing. I mean, the studio that we work in a lot is Echo 7. Lovely little place. Very comfy, very cozy. Yeah, one of the better studios I've been to.
I mean, I would agree. I think any time I've kind of spent there, you really do feel like this is, you almost take over the place, don't you? For the duration
That's it.
You're
It's,
in there.
it's like home. The first time I went there, they're just like, yeah, just do what you want. And it was like, oh, okay, I'll lounge about on this sofa. It was great. We have Georgie Mack is our main producer there, who's just, every time you go, he's just got a new story about every musician you could ever possibly imagine. He was telling us about Prince. He was telling us about Frank Zappa. He went to dinner with one of Frank Zappa's daughters. Just Bob Marley, he had stories about. Just anyone who's anyone. It's really just brilliant being there.
I would. Yeah, Georgie Mack is a legend. I think he's agreed to come on and talk to me, which is going to be incredible. So I'm going to have to prepare a lot of questions for him. But
he won't shut up. I don't think you'll have a 2-hour interview with him, just telling why he's done, and he's pretty much been everywhere. He's done tours in Japan. He's been a engineer in the USA. He's just done everything.
Yeah, he is an absolute diamond of a. He's a diamond of a geezer.
Yeah. That's the one.
The diamond of a geezer. Diamond of a geezer. Okay, so Ben, this is more a question for me, because I used to have like a Marshall stack back in the day.
Yep.
And then I borrowed a mate's like Mesa Boogie, in terms of a head, which was a beast.
Yeah.
I mean, I played. For me, it was all when I was sort of gigging. It was all about getting the dirtiest rhythm sound possible, as I was in like an extreme metal sort of band.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you have? I mean, it looks. I can see you got an orange cab there. You got a Black Star head.
This is actually a Marshall cab.
Is it?
That was sent back to Marshall because a band wanted just a couple of cabs to use while I was on tour, just for backstage use. Let me just get rid of that guitar, just so I can.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
Back to Marshall and said, make these look pretty, and that's what they ended up with.
Okay.
And then when they left the UK after their tour, they were selling them off quite cheap, so I bought one.
Is that? Okay, but there you go. I honestly thought it was an orange because it's orange.
Yeah. It is an old JCM 800 cab, 4x12.
Amazing. So do you tend to kind of will you switch between like heads for lead and rhythm? Do you have like a preference to a setup there?
This Black Star is pretty much my go-to head. It does everything. I don't actually. It's actually the 6L6 version, which is a bit more heavy metal. However, I typically use it on like the crunch channel. I'm a bit more classic rock than modern metal, so I don't really go for the full-on over-the-top distortion. I'm a bit more 70s rock. I get a good tone. I like the AC/DC tone.
No, amazing.
That's what I love. Lots of mid-range, not too distorted. But I have other heads. I've got an old 90s or late 80s Marshall head as well somewhere. Actually, if I move out of the way, you may just be able to see that.
I can see it, yeah.
Yeah.
So is it a transistor, the Black Star?
No, there's a full, fully valved amp.
Valve got you.
6L6 There's valves in there just for, like, say, the more tighter metal sound. I tried this over a modern Marshall. I love Marshalls, but this just had clarity. The notes just didn't turn to mush. You know, the overdrives, you could just, I don't know. I can't really describe it. You have to hear it.
You have to hear it.
Every note just popped out, and that's what I wanted.
And I think you're achieving it very well, mate. It has to be said, and you can hear it. Well, you can hear it in your playing. Everything I've really ever heard from you has been very clear. I don't know whether, obviously, we've been using a whole bunch of different gear during the production, but I think it's absolutely correct, because that's one thing I always struggle with, and it's what I struggle with in terms of, like, modulated guitars. I don't know whether you've messed it. What's your opinion on mods in terms of through laptops? Have you used it much?
No, not much. I'm very old school.
And I think what you'd find, Ben, is, because what I find is whenever you try to use, like, amplitude or something like that, you can lead guitar fine, but as soon as you get any sort of, like, chuggy rhythm or anything that's kind of, like, maybe going perhaps towards the metal style, where you're starting to introduce a lot more distortion, it literally, that, as you described, it goes to mud.
That's it. I don't. If I record, my preferred setup would be a mic in front of a cab. Off you go. You know, no dicking around there.
No bullshit.
That's it. I use plugins if I'm just getting ideas down, because it's just nice and easy, and you can work late. You know, and turn it up. Headphones, very easy. But for recording, for anything we're going to release, then it's a guitar into a big stack
and straight through.
Turn it up. Yeah, that's sounds I like.
And we're getting the results. So the approach there is, I think it's an interesting thing as well. When we kind of, like, there's a tendency when you're kind of, like, talking to guitarists or you're talking to players to just focus purely on, like, right, what's your guitar? What can you play? But actually, what you guys have is a huge amount of knowledge when it comes to back end and how you application of actually getting your performance out there. I think a lot of people actually don't, they overlook that.
Yeah, I hear things finished in my head. If I'm writing, I hear it first and then I try and figure out what it is that I'm hearing. And I can even hear production in my head, how I want the overall thing to sound when it's finished. However, you, Steve, and Georgie Mack are the guys to speak to about this. I'm a little bit less clued in. I can hear it in my head, but getting that sound out into the world, that's another thing.
It's the thing that plagues us all, because I think I kind of wear different hats. So I think when I'm producing another artist, I think what I try to do is have the conversation and listen to perhaps the guides they've been talking about, because you get that in the studio, don't you? Someone has an idea for a particular thing, and they go, they'll say, like, like the Steve Vai, or like let's do the Angus Young,
yeah.
And you start to kind of dissect.
Well, that's it, and you have to then allocate that job to that person. They go, oh, okay, yeah, I know how to get that sound. Great.
That's right. That's right.
You want this sound on that track? Great. I'll do that for you.
Well,
and that's really and that's the cool thing with the group we're working with, because we're all from quite different backgrounds. Everyone just knows. Oh yeah, I've done that before. I know how to do that. Brilliant. It's just couldn't wish for a luckier team, really.
I really do. I really do. I mean, are you enjoying being kind of part of this Aurora thing we've started doing?
Oh, it's brilliant, yeah.
I'm starting to
I've never really been supported by any record company or anyone before. Everything I've kind of always done freelance, and it's been a real pain because it just takes up so much time. Even I wrote a guitar tuition book, I don't know, a few years ago now. Sold about 15 copies because I published it myself. My mum bought 10 of those, I guess.
Do you still have copies?
So
around?
having a team behind you makes a massive difference.
Absolutely. Do you still have copies of that book, Ben?
I have one copy left, which is mine.
Okay, you keep it. Okay.
But you're welcome to borrow it.
I will borrow it, mate. And then I'll phone you, and I can, Ben, because I do want to get back into guitar. I'm tired of sitting at the keyboard here. I want to get back out and sit on a sofa and play a guitar. So I've been badly going back to acoustic.
Okay.
Just because I think you can hear. For me, kind of getting back into actually like like we're talking about clarity and precision, I feel like the acoustic's a good way for me to do that.
Acoustic, yeah, it's you'll definitely get that. It has to be a lot more precise. With a distorted electric guitar, you can get away with a lot, and that makes my job quite easy. That's why I like it. Just put some overdrive on it, and that kills any wrong notes.
It's brilliant. I
But
love
acoustic, yeah, there's no hiding.
No,
it's actually one of the reasons that I don't really like acoustic guitar. I find them just big and cumbersome. I can't make them sound good.
It's interesting because when Steve was here, we were doing a mix, and we broke for lunch, and he picked up I got like an Ibanez Electro Acoustic.
Yeah.
I've got it really for sound design. I wanted to just plug it in and just muck around and start kind of distorting those sounds.
Yeah.
I've been moaning all week, going, I don't know, it doesn't really, the timbre's wrong, it's sort of buzzy, I don't like it, like I think there's something wrong with it, I need to get it set up. And then Steve just kind of picked it up and just sort of started playing some stuff, and I'm like, that sounds great. Okay, it's me.
Yeah. I use an acoustic. I've got a really nice Taylor acoustic guitar here, actually, which doesn't get much use, but I'd use acoustics just to fill out a track more than write a song or play a particular riff on it or anything. It would be like a strumming thing in the background just to give the track some depth.
Movement. Yeah, I agree. No, absolutely, I agree. So Ben, I mean, where obviously I've got various links now I'm putting out for you through Aurora. Thank you for the lovely comments. I hope we are being supportive. Obviously, we've got the Slack, which I know you're starting to get used to now. But I think things like that is a great way, like you've said, it's nice to better just phone someone. Like I'd hope to get you on some of my tracks in the future once we can actually speak to each other in person. We're not on lockdown. Where would you say is the best place if people wanted to find you? Would it be to email you? Would it be to go on Facebook to find you?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to contact me, email really is the way, which I'll explain at the end. Or if you want to see a bit more what I'm doing, then really Facebook is the one that I use a lot. I've never been, I find it very time consuming having Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I can't keep up with it all. I love playing my guitar, so that really takes precedence. Yes, I could sit and spend 5 hours a day updating all these social media sites, but like I say, I'm very old school. I want simplicity in my life, not just in music. I want it in my life.
The minimalist approach for Ferdy.
Yeah.
Well, we'll try and do as much as we can for you, mate. That's what I will say.
Thank you.
We'll try and I'll make a Ben Ford page, and I'll try and link everything so people can find you. Because I know some stuff's released as well that you've done previously.
Yeah, I've played in various bands. Anything from metal bands to folk, pop, covers bands. I've done wedding gigs, you name it.
Ben's been there playing.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, dude, we've been talking for coming on 45 minutes, which is incredible.
Wow, okay.
Is there anything you want to add? Did you want to play anything for us? Is there anything you want to kind of say as an outro? I'm going to give you the next 5 minutes. Is Ben? How would you like to end this interview, dude?
Don't know. What do you think our audience would like?
Well, I mean, I think I personally love watching you play guitar. So I know Steve was prompting for more guitar from Ben. I don't know if you want to play anything for us or give us a little live set.
Yeah, I mean, just come and find us if you want to hear more of the band. It's SkyQuaker. If you want to check me out, you can find me under Ben Ford Musician, where you'll find updates of all my own music, SkyQuaker, just everything that I do, really. Teaching work, you name it, you can find me there. I'm sure if you can link in, my Facebook page on here afterwards, that's where you'll find me.
Amazing.
Guitar then. I'm just going to angle this a little bit, just so you can see what I'm doing as well, for any of you guitar guys out there.
wow. That was that. You weren't lying about that whammy bar, man. That is
Oh,
incredible.
I just love them crazy effects you can get with this particular whammy bar.
That is incredible. That is. I really had to stop. I really had to stop myself from being like, wow, wow, wow. That is incredible, Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, man.
Sorry, next time I'll try and get something a bit more prepared as well. I wasn't expecting this. So,
Well,
for all you muso people though, the first one being in a 15/16 going to a 6/4 time signature. In case you missed that, bit of muso knowledge for you there.
love it. I was trying to nod, and then I thought, oh no, it's
Your head will fall off if you try and nod along with it. Yeah.
I love it. Well, listen, thank you very much, Ben, mate. You're a lovely fella.
Thank you, Mike.